The views and opinions expressed by participants in the following public affairs program do not necessarily reflect the position or beliefs of WDEF or its staff.
This is Point of View, celebrating a world record-breaking 62 years of quality public affairs programs from the studios of WDEF News 12, Chattanooga. Hello, I'm Maurice Lewis, and welcome to Point of View. You look back at your life, and sometimes you think, is there any one thing that happened that could have changed my direction in life forever? We'll talk about that with a very special guest today. Something happened in her life that pointed her in a different career path. I'm referring to Sharon Kelly of Sharon Senior Services. Hello.
Hello,
and welcome,
Maurice.
my friend. How are you?
I'm doing just great. How about yourself?
Well, it's an honor to have you here, number one, okay? And I want to talk about something that happened in your life to someone that you're very close to that changed your path in terms of employment and mission. What was that?
It was my grandmother. She was a unique lady. She was the only grandparent that any of her grandkids had, and we lived in a community called Alton Park here in Chattanooga, and all of our other grandparents were deceased, and all of us lived on the same street in the same neighborhood. And so she never worked that we knew about because she was a grandma.
Okay.
And she would bake the pies, the cakes, the cookies, have the fresh lemonade ready.
Grandmama stuff,
that
right?
grandmama stuff. And she could watch me from her kitchen window. So she was the overseer. So you had to kind of like
keep it in line a little bit, she knew?
Right, because she saw everything. She didn't miss a thing, but she came down with the disease called Alzheimer's. And that was a destroying factor to our family because we wanted to keep her. We wanted that same old grandmother that we had that had knowledge and could sit down and give us a lot of wisdom and encouragement.
Keep it close.
Yes.
Keep it close in the family.
Yes. And, you know, she had surgery and on her foot. And with me being a registered nurse, and I saw that, and she had a lot of bleeding with that. Her mind never did get back right the way it was prior to losing the blood, receiving the anesthesia, coming home from a one-day procedure.
See, these are things that most of us, we don't consider that. You go to the hospital, you intend to come out better than you went in. Right.
But she came out worse than when she went in because she was lesser toe. That's the only thing she went was the toe. But her mind, she couldn't think. It got to the point that she received a subdural hematoma from a fall on her head.
So the whole thing starts to spiral, if you will.
Right.
Okay, how did this change your life?
Well, I wanted to keep her at home. My mom wanted to keep her at home. And with me being a nurse, one of the things that I did, I cared about people. And the only way I knew that she could stay at home, someone had to be at home with her that could care for her. So I told my mother, one day I'm going to be able to help take care of people just like my grandmother. And that's how we started the Adult Day Center.
Well, see, most people think about, when you say daycare, they think about a place for younger people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why my slogan has always been taking care of those who once took care of you.
So you were in the vanguard. This wasn't a thriving industry when you started this, was it?
No. Nobody had really even heard about it.
Not asking you about your age, but I just want to give you some pioneering credit here.
Well, we opened up our first Adult Day Center in 1997, and we probably had less than 10 to 15 Adult Day Centers in the state of Tennessee. I was the first minority-owned Adult Day Center in the state of Tennessee. So, I mean, you know, it brought me a lot of joy to know that I could give that back to my community because we were all about loving on each other, taking care of each other, And this was a way that I could do it to provide family members to be able to continue to work or to take a break, but still keep their loved ones at home.
Was it a hard sell to convince people this is something that you should do? You should entrust your seniors with me. You should entrust your family members who can't take care of themselves as well as they did before?
Well, I had started in the nursing industry in 1972, and I had been the charge nurse over day surgery at Park Ridge Medical Center for 11 years. I was the assistant head nurse on the oncology unit. I've worked in the medical
field for years. So you walked the walk and had the experience of various units.
And a lot of people I care for, because remember, Chattanooga is it was a small, loving community back then. I was going to ask you
about that. Word seems to get around.
Everybody knew, and there wasn't that many African-American black nurses in our community, especially registered nurse. I'm a RN, so, I mean, I remember when I graduated from Erlanger School of Nursing, we had 100 nurses in the class, and there was only 3 African Americans, and the teacher scared us to death. She said, look to your left, look to the right. One of y'all not gonna pass.
Oh.
But you know what? We all passed. So it worked. It worked.
All right, so now you're involved. You've got this small senior care center that you are working with. What about the laws? How much change have you seen from when you got started, where you've been, and what is it now?
Well, we didn't have any funding. I only charged people $25 a day to take care of their loved ones in 1997.
That includes food?
That included food and everything. Oh. I had a passion for it.
These are numbers that you're not going to hear anybody talk about
today.
No.
Well, we just charge $10 an hour. The state of Tennessee pays about $10 an hour with this program called Choices. Choices started around 2001, but not adult day services. Mm-hmm. It started with in-home personal care first. So in order to keep my doors open, I had to start off doing in-home personal care to keep the doors open of the adult day center.
See, now this is another thing I'd love for people to know about Sharon Kelly, not just a service provider, but Sharon Kelly, the legislative knock on the doors, I've got to get something done person, and that's what you've had to do. Tell us about how you've had to work with the legislature in order to bring about some quality changes.
Well, each and every week I remember when State Representative Dr. Tommy Brown, I met with our legislators here in Chattanooga, and she put a bill together along with Senator David Fowler back in the day to start funding the programs that I was interested in. And every day that bill would come up, I would catch the groom shuttle bus, and I would dress in red, yellow, orange, and I would sit on the front row so they'll know we didn't have internet like we do now that televised everything, because I was going home to tell it.
Okay.
So they knew that. Tell it like it is.
Right.
Who supported it and who didn't. So, it was amazing when that bill was passed, and we had someone that was a Republican that supported it and someone that was a Democrat.
How rare was that? It wasn't as rare then as it is now.
No, it's probably not then, but it was no happening back then. But I went to my state representatives before placing the bill, before the House started in January of every year. And so they had an opportunity to hear from me.
Oh, no, come on, you're being modest. You lobbied. They didn't just have
we call it advocating.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't lobby. I didn't make any money for it, right. But I knew it was going to help a whole lot of people, and people that I knew that wanted that choice of being able to stay at home.
So a little knowledge with them, building the case for something where you saw a need and a lack of opportunity for people to take advantage of it, required you to, A, be involved with your state representative, your state senators, write or change laws.
That's correct.
So all of that has led you to, how many places now do you do this? You started those humble beginnings, just one place.
Right.
And now?
In a little condemned house on the corner of 14 and Hawthorne. Now I have one in East Chattanooga. I opened it up in 2000. And then I went on to go to Cleveland, Tennessee, and I was the first standalone adult day center.
So what's the difference between a standalone? What is it? I think I know what it means.
That's the only thing that we do there.
Okay.
You might have an assisted living facility that have an adult day center attached to it or a nursing home attached to it, but a standalone is a facility that's all they do.
You know, this subject matter I think is interesting to a lot of us, especially when you look at how people live today. In certain circumstances, you may find 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 generations living in a single household. And the bonds that develop there, especially if they like each other,
yes.
you want to stay with each other. How much contact do you have with younger people that want to talk about the opportunity for their loved ones, their older loved ones, to stay close to home or at home?
Well, you know, we have more people now than we did before in the past to understand the history behind an adult day center or in-home personal care or even the word respite. A lot of people didn't know what the word meant.
Well, you can help us to that right now.
Well, respite is taking a break, taking a rest, but not placing your loved one in a nursing home, which is saving the state of Tennessee dollars, but is giving us a quality of care by having that loved one to be able to stay in the home versus going into a nursing home. So we were able to provide that. So we have people now that had strokes, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, depression, Parkinson's disease. Those are people that should not be left at home alone. They need an adult day center. People will leave people at home with burglar bars on the windows and the doors and lock them in. That's neglect.
I can see
Even
in your
though you
eyes
think-
that you take that very personally.
I do, because it happens. It happens.
We don't hear about that, Sharon.
In our communities.
Right.
And so these are things that people don't think about until after it happened.
Well, see, the most important thing is that no matter how old we are, if we continue to live, we're all going to be in this situation where somebody's going to have to think about taking care of us. They don't have those commercials on for Depends and other things because we don't need them.
Right.
So it's going to happen. Of course, me, I'll never need them, but well,
Hey.
that's the attitude for a lot of people. It's never going to happen to me, right?
You know, we're in that baby boomer generation, and we have to admit to that. But we have to prepare for it. And right now, it's 5 million people in the country that's diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And they're looking at by 2050 that we will have 5 times more, 20 to 30,000 people with that diagnosis.
You know, it's a cruel joke that's out there that talks about Alzheimer's, and they say it's the thing where you just constantly meet new people all the time. Well, of course, because you don't remember you just met them 2 minutes ago. Sharon Kelly from Sharon Senior Services, I want you to stay with us here on the show because we have a young man who has some ideas about how he can be a better senator, state senator, than someone else. Point of View will continue momentarily with my guest, Ty O'Grady.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore.
Point of View, we hope, is this interesting place where you meet new people and learn interesting things. Case in point today, Sharon Kelly of Sharon Senior Services has been with us. We have some more information we want to talk about with her, but we have an aspiring politician in our midst. Family history, maybe somebody else in the family was a politician, a lot of lawyers, but this young gentleman is a little different. Why? Well, he's running for the 10th Senatorial District, and Ty O'Grady, we want to welcome you to the show today.
Thank you for having me,
Why
Maurice.
on earth did you decide to do something like this? You're a Democrat running in a Republican-controlled state for the most part. You must think that you have some pretty good ideas.
I do believe that, and the main reason I'm running, though, is because the current incumbent Senator, Todd Gardenhire, is very bad. He's recognized by that, as that way by a lot of people. I was inspired to run after reading about 4 or 5 articles in a row, one a week, complaining about the bad job that Todd Gardenhire was doing in Nashville, and other groups trying to say, well, we tried to get a hold of Senator Gardenhire and we just totally failed. He wouldn't return our phone calls. He wouldn't respond to our emails. So what that conveyed to me is that this district really needs somebody who's willing to work a lot harder than Todd Gardenhire does right now. And so as I started investigating it and just peeling back the layers of the onion, I started realizing there's actually a whole lot of work that needs to be done in Tennessee.
Two things. First of all, Todd Gardenhire is not here. The reason that you are here is because you called and asked to be on the show. Todd, you've got the same privilege. We're not going to chase you down if you want to be here. Come on. So go on with your litany.
So as far as litany goes, I started looking into Tennessee, some of the stats that we may not be aware of, and just looking at how Tennessee stacks up in relation to the other states. So a couple of rankings that I think are surprising but that we should all know more about is that we are currently 41st in high school graduation rates. We are 41st in awarded bachelor degrees. We are 44th in household income. We are 13th highest in poverty. We are 45th in overall health. And we are 50th in diabetes rankings.
I mentioned that this is a Republican-controlled state for a reason. It seems like there's an opportunity for some new thought and to move the rankings.
Definitely. And the real thing, so what I said to the city council a few weeks ago is that I believe that for a politician, that person's responsibility is to take care of all the people in their area. So if you're a Chattanooga politician, you should take care of all the people in Chattanooga. If you're a Hamilton County politician, you should try to take care of all the people in Hamilton County. If you're a Tennessee politician, you should try to take care of all the people in Tennessee.
So you're talking about a progressive look at what are the needs.
Absolutely. It's putting people first. And I believe that when we look at our rankings with education, health, and household income, it shows that we are not putting people first. Instead, we're putting a very small minority of special interests first. And we're really helping out just a very small number of people, and we're selling the state away and the goods, and we're misappropriating a lot of taxpayer money to help out special interests when we should be trying to help out the people first.
See, Chattanooga, the scenic city, as we are so warmly and effectively called, we are a beacon for people who want to retire. We're one of the top places in the country for people who want to retire. We're one of the, it's not that Chattanooga is the gateway to Memphis or Chattanooga is the gateway to Knoxville. We have so much here from rivers, stuff that's happening along the river and what have you. But in terms of the effectiveness, we're 40th. To be 40th in anything, to me, it just seems unconscionable for us. I can't speak for any other city, but we pay good taxes here for what they are, 9%. There's not a state income tax, but we do pay our fair share.
Oh, absolutely. We're paying our fair share of taxes. It's just, what are those tax programs going to? And in Chattanooga in particular, one of the most controversial issues is a lot of taxpayer money is going to tax breaks for big companies, developers, and those companies are not following through on their promises they're making when they get those tax breaks.
You're not talking about Volkswagen or anybody in particular, are you?
We are talking about Volkswagen. We're talking about Alstom, who made promises about the number of jobs they were going to put here in Chattanooga, and then they just recently decided they were going to close their doors. 235 people lost their jobs. So there's, and in the housing market especially, a lot of developers are getting money to create affordable housing in Chattanooga, but they're building the housing, but it's not affordable.
It's not affordable.
Exactly. And so, and the real reason why I'm inspired to run for this office is because the city is not showing a willingness to hold these folks accountable for their promises. So they're giving them all this money, and they're saying, please do what you said you're going to do, and then the folks, they take the money, they don't do it, and then the city doesn't do anything about it.
You know, I think, Sharon, from your perspective, you've worked long and hard on the Hill. with senators and with state representatives, trying to get things done and being successful. So here you have a young candidate that's right here. What do you want from him?
Well, honesty, first of all, and for it to be about the people. I am a strong advocate. I have my own talk radio show, and I've done it for 6 years. And it wasn't because I wanted to be outspoken. It was because I wanted to be a voice for the people. And I heard you say something. What's going to let me know that you will be there to have someone to answer the phone and to call me back as the Vice President of Public Policy for Adult Day Services? One of the things that I'm going to be looking at is legislation for the whole state of Tennessee for our seniors, to be able to have okay to be able to live at home if that's what they choose to be. Now, I hate it when I try to call a state representative or a senator or a congressman or whoever and don't get that return phone call. So I know how some of the people are feeling about the leadership that we have now. So I applaud you for standing up and trying to make a difference and a change with the people, number one. And I just want honesty, truthfulness. If you can't do it, say you can't do it. If you can do it, just give us all you got when you're in there working for us. And let us know you're working for us. Some of these politicians, they run for office, they win the election, and we don't hear from you again to the next time for
Well,
you
that's
to
a
run
good point.
for election.
That's really another strong driving motive that I have in this campaign. It's that one thing that you'll learn about the culture in Nashville, in our legislative bodies in the House and in the Senate, is that a lot of the folks who are those representatives and senators, they treat that position like a part-time job. They think it's something you do in a casual, lackadaisical kind of way, just for a couple of months out of the year, and then the rest of the time you spend kicking up your heels and playing golf with your donors.
Why shouldn't they? Look, it's an opportunity to build time for a pension. Okay? So why shouldn't they look at this as the big teat that they can pull off of?
Well, I believe it has to be, and the only people who should even be running for this kind of position are folks who are willing to take on the obligations that come with public service.
Does that mean term limits?
I would advocate term limits in our current situation because I think that that would discourage big campaign donors, and I think that would discourage people from buying candidates because right now they think it's a lifetime purchase.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, I think if we had term limits, then each representative wouldn't be that great of an investment, so they wouldn't want to possibly spend as much money on a person who might not be there the next session.
Well, either that or it would be people like Sharon who would come up and just hound you and hound you and hound you, change clothes so that they're going to recognize you anyway, right?
I believe that's great, and that's what we have to have. And we have to have folks in those offices who are available year-round, not just 3 months out of the year, who are willing to meet with everybody, because there's so many issues that are politically meaningful in the state of Tennessee that you just don't even know about. I met with some animal rights activists or advocates 2 nights ago in Cleveland, Tennessee, and one of them mentioned the issue of horse soring, which is how they get horses to kick up their legs.
This has been an ongoing issue.
Right, and for folks who don't know, it's abusive. It's abusive to animals. And I didn't even know that the practice took place until one Cleveland veterinarian told me about all of his experience in trying to deal with it. So the point is, we have to have state representatives who are willing to always have an open ear so we can all learn about these issues.
But that's a great farm type issue. But you've got these inner cities, and things are happening here. And people are saying, let's stop thinking about the past. We're hearing too much about the past. As a candidate for a state Senate position, what would you do? What's your focus on cities?
There's a lot. Since I'll just focus on one proposal right now. And so one thing that I learned as I've been campaigning and talking to folks in all the neighborhoods in Chattanooga is that Todd Gardenhire, when he was campaigning, made a promise. He said that he was going to bring back Kirkman Technical High. So in the early 80s, Chattanooga decided it was going to become a tourist trap.
We've only got about 2 minutes left.
Okay, so they bulldozed Kirkman. They built a hotel downtown. A lot of folks got a lot of benefits from those technical highs.
So keeping
definitely.
promises is one of the things. Go ahead, Sharon.
And that's what I said, keeping promises. I mean, I think people should research back the record of what past candidate says before they vote the next time. And a lot of times people fail to do that. Hold people accountable. When you say you want to do something, put the work in it.
Okay.
Definitely.
And do it.
In the minute or so that we have left, the 3 most important things that you're going to do if you are successful. In your first 90 days, what would you attempt to do?
In my first 90 days, what I'm really going to do is build relationships. That's going to be, because right now the lines are stacked with 28 Republicans, 5 Democrats. So after I win, it's going to be 27 Republicans, 6 Democrats. So if you try to fight on party lines, you're not going to get anywhere. So during the first 90 days, during the first maybe 360 days, it's all going to be about building relationships with every member of the House, the State House and the State Senate, with their secretaries, with their assistants, with everybody.
Okay.
And then I really want to focus on doing whatever I can to get technical schools back here in the area, and also to advance the Insure Tennessee program. Governor Haslam's Insure Tennessee program that Todd Gardenhire blocked, that is currently preventing 230,000 Tennesseans from having adequate health care.
Well, I can tell you one thing. If you are successful and you don't pay attention to the needs of seniors, let me tell you who you're going to hear from. She's right here. So, Ty, I want to thank you very much.
Legend.
Nice to see you.
You're here
You as
because
well.
you asked to be here, and that's part of what we do here. The show is called Point of View, and we would like to have yours. Check us out on Facebook. You can look at us on YouTube. Sharon Kelly, thank you very much for being with us here today.
Thank you for asking me to be here.
And next week, my partner in crime, Nyara Kensel, will be here. I have no idea what she's cooking up, but I think it's probably going to be fun. I'm Maurice Lewis. Thank you very much for joining us on Point of View.
Closed captioning provided by the following.
Funding for this program is brought to you by Barnett & Company, specializing in tax-efficient strategies for the preservation and distribution of family wealth, offering continuous investment management with a focus on long-term strategies. Areas of service include investment, estate, education, and retirement planning. Barnett & Company, the power of compound returns over time. More information can be found on the web at barnettandcompany.com.